You ready for the second one?
I'm ready for the second one.
This is one that I will hopefully be able to pose to you and get some additional perspective.
Okay.
As somebody that's more in the political arena than I am,
absolutely,
I think you might be able to ground my perspective a bit, because I feel like a beaten, battered dog. Okay. I trust no one at this point, at least when it comes to my politics. It's this weird scenario where I've got a guy, Vivek Ramaswamy, and he says everything I want to hear. I mean, there was this video I saw maybe 4 days ago, and he's at some, cafeteria kitchen doing a rally in the middle of Podunk. Who knows? Probably Iowa, because they're all dumb white Christians in the middle of nowhere, talking to nobody, right? A grassroots man. And he's in this kitchen, and your classic alphabet lady, LGBTQ, LMXYZ, liberal, crazy hair looking person, just starts screaming and yelling and disrupting him while he was going on a speech. That was, he took on the position, not my position publicly, I'm going to say on here, just his position that I'm not going to pretend I deny. He said, not me, he said that the trans movement is a mental health issue. And I said, yes, it is. Behind my screen, not on here. I did not say that on here. I said it at home.
Okay.
And I didn't say that either.
No.
You wouldn't know because I said it at home.
I saw the air quotes.
Exactly. That being said.
Anyway, all right. Let's get going.
This lady was triggered.
Okay.
And it was like a movie. The perfect scene, right? She's running out. No. This is the beauty of America. I want to hear, you disagree with my point. And she, obviously, as they all are, was run by emotion. There was zero logic. And he was able to show that there was zero logic by having a dialogue with somebody that's grounded in total idiocracy. But he was able to bring her demeanor down, bring about common ground, and actually make for a productive conversation. And they both walked away growing. But the person that grew the most was the audience member, the person that got to watch this exchange. It was amazing. In fact, you watch that and you go, that is quite literally exactly what I want from a representative. Even if that happened, if Nancy Pelosi's old crippled ass could do that, I'd be like, hey, I think the bitch is wrong, but she's onto something. She could do something. She couldn't even do that to save her life. So that's what I'm saying is, even if it was a Democrat, I don't care what side of the aisle you are, even if we disagree. If that's the spirit at which you're approaching the dialogue and the spirit at which you're approaching representing America, that's exactly the person I want in there. So here's the problem I have. Back to me being a poor battered dog. Okay. No matter how perfect the candidate gets, first inkling is, I can't trust you. I think you are a psyop by the system just as much as Trump is or Hillary is. I don't trust you. So here's what's interesting.
Okay.
The sources, the avenues of information that I tend to get them from, balanced with the mainstream, are coming up with all this random information, like backers of Vivek Ramaswamy. Turns out he has George Soros paying. He has Soros money in his background. BlackRock. He's got a lot of corporate systems that I wouldn't like calling the shots, because they're the only entities calling the shots as it is. And the icing on the cake was the World Economic Forum announcing him as on their list of most top prospective leaders, world leaders. So now it's like, whoa. If the World Economic Forum's predicting you to be a world leader 5 years ago, I don't trust you. Now, again, I want to avenue of transparency, I also learned just 2 days ago that he actually sued the World Economic Forum for putting him on that list because of the connotation that it gives him. He didn't even ask to be on that list and blah, blah, blah. I'm suing you for defamation. He actually won a good deal of money from the World Economic Forum. But again, to me, because I'm such a battered psycho, like you've literally trained schizophrenia into me, that I go, are you the world? The Shakespeare tells us the world is their stage. So my question is, did you actually get propped up by the World Economic Forum with the thing that has bottomless money? Remember, we're the #1 funder of the World Economic Forum. #2 is Bill Gates. And then it comes the rest of the countries. So like you've got this entity that's got almost bottomless pockets. That's an easy show. I don't know what I wish I had the time to prepare it all, but it was like, let's just say it was 380,000.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it was 1.2 million. To them, that is worth the cost of a psyop of like, all right, here's the guy we've invested all our money in. He speaks better than any person on that stage and is the most convincing. We're all bought and sold for him when we've met him 6 months ago. So how do we not lose this entity that we've put so much money and time into building? 380,000, 1.2 million, whatever. Just put it in there. He wins, he gets the money, he takes it home, and everybody gets to forget as if he was ever even associated with us. So instill into me some confidence, or do you believe he's just a good sheep, just like the rest of us? He's no wolf. He's no wolf in sheep's clothing. What do you make of it?
Okay, so let's break down a couple of your points here, and let's go to the last point here at the World Economic Forum. So do you believe every member of the World Economic Forum is 100% against like the public? We'll call it anti-populist.
You clearly know the answer to that is no. We know
okay.
That's not the case.
Okay.
And I would apply it to any kind of debunking somebody would propose when it comes to somebody talking about the Masons, right?
Okay.
Like, I think the whole key is you get a bunch of grandpas at the local Brecksville level to be a Mason, and they put a Mason sticker on the back of their car. And then when your grandkid gets confronted that like, hey, your grandpa's a Mason and he's pulling all the strings of the world. My grandpa just goes to a drinking club, and I know my grandpa's not up to any good, and he's just a good old guy. That's the whole game. So if the majority of these people are little piddly ants that just peddle just the basic day-to-day, it's need to know. Look at Scientology. Like, what did we find out from Scientology from that girl from King of Queens, Leah Remini, when she came out, and she like did this whole tell-all on Scientology? They had a whole ring where the lower rung people were just as screwed as the top of the pyramid. But guess what? They were able to keep it tight, secret, and the power centralized because only just a select few at the tippy top knew everything that was going on.
Okay. Name me your favorite World Economic Forum policy that they have put together.
Project Blue Beam.
Did they actually put it together?
It's in conjunction with the American government.
Do they just offer suggestions?
I don't know. What are yours? Because I know your whole position is going to be that I don't have enough understanding of what the World Economic Forum does or their policies. So
I'm not exactly saying
in conjunction.
So we use World Economic Forum as kind of this big bad tell-all, and anybody associated with that is in itself evil or should not be trusted. I think to a level there should be some skepticism for that, but it depends on how far in depth you are at the World Economic Forum. If you are the top leader and you're trying to schmooze and booze all these rich people just to come over here, talk about what you think would be best for mankind and all that, and then to me, my issue with the World Economic Forum is it preaches some good things. Just in general, be more careful with the environment, be nicer to each other. And we should allow, it's prosperity for all involved. But the people who attend this, that speak at this, by their policy and by their actions, do a little bit of the opposite. So we see a lot of hypocritical actions coming through there. I don't necessarily see the World Economic Forum unlike maybe like the United Nations or something that has a little bit more teeth and a little bit more centralized power. This is mostly just an influence. The World Economic Forum is an influencer conference. They influence things. They talk, they get a bunch of rich people and they talk to each other. So When we look at it kind of that frame, that they put some awards on, Forbes has their top 100 people or whatever. They do that same thing. It'd be somewhat silly if you're like top 50 on that. It's like, well, he's bought and sold by the the media or whatever. Like, okay, maybe I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I need a bit more points on that front. So
instead of parsing apart all that I know of the Economic Forum,
Okay.
I'd like to parse apart all that you don't know about the Economic Forum.
Okay.
So like, what's your familiarity with like Event 201?
Not a whole lot of.
Yeah. So what about like their outward support of chemtrails?
What do you mean outward support?
So that's my problem. Is too many people that live in the dismissive no. Like I live in the no, so I can dismiss what I don't. Right.
Mhm.
That person only absorbs. And I'm surprised about that from you, for somebody that lives on Reddit so much, because that commonly just comes from the person who lives in the mainstream. Not to use a easy colloquial term, but the truth is, this stuff isn't mainstream. But what's been weird is my experience getting information through outside avenues on the internet, right? A lot of it's bullshit. And so you build a muscle on sifting through bullshit. That's a fact.
Okay.
And which is a good muscle for the last topic we have coming up here. But that being said, I get duped. Of course I get duped. That's the whole point of being open to new theories and ideas, is some of them are going to seem appealing until they no longer do, and then you're left an idiot. But the real idiot is the one that doesn't experiment or even look. So, we've gone over the allegory of the cave. So this is the person in the cave saying, yeah, no, there's nothing outside of the cave. So I implore anybody, because I didn't prepare for this, but there are videos of the leaders of the World Economic Forum. What's crazy is sitting there watching it, and you're in college, going in, watching it in law school, and they are flat out saying, yeah, we're putting chemicals in the sky. We have a Navy friend that literally said, yeah, we do this. They won't tell us what's in it. So like, we are just spitting chemical. Like, for how long has the person gone, whoa, that's not a cloud, and that surely isn't a jet stream? And then all of the boomers around them, all our parents were like, shut up, they would have told us if they were killing the atmosphere. Shut up, you're crazy, like the flat earth people. But then there was somebody who's like, anus was probed by aliens, and then it took 60 years for the Pentagon to go, oh yeah, we do a thing every once in a while. It exists. Forget about it. So like, what's crazy is watching these videos, trying to bring the horse to water. Dad, watch this video. And they either accept it to be fact and just go, whatever, mainly because they realize they can't do anything about it, or whatever, for whatever reason, they're defeated totally. But they're just like, nah, whatever. Or they don't even think it's real. They just think you got duped by a dude making a video on the internet. And then do you know how infuriating it is to just be 10 years later and they're like, yeah, but that's just an old video. Yeah, they know it's real, but that's just, now it's real, but it's old. Oh, and I'm just supposed to sit here. Oh, they quit. They were doing it then, but they're not doing it now. So, okay, I shouldn't, for just the sake of being a human, if that is a real story, that should be enough. That should be enough for it to be corrupt. I shouldn't need to come to you with a litany. If we have an organization or an agency that's acting on a country's behalf, on your behalf, or the global arena's behalf, and they make one immoral act, that in and of itself should be up for persecution. And so, one, you lied. Two, it was a bad lie. You're killing us. You're putting chemicals in the sky. I'm not a fan. And now, let me give you a second example, because I wish I knew I needed to come here with a list, but I'm going to tell you more examples of situations you're not aware of. Event 201, also very real, also very corroborated. I implore you to do your homework and look into it. But explain to me how 2 years before the pandemic, or let me get you the exact dates, because I find it would only do us a disservice if I didn't speak on it totally accurately. But Event 201 was a 3.5-hour tabletop pandemic exercise simulated by 15 of the world's most influential leaders, Bill Gates being among them, and a lot of other people. It was in October 2019. So literally less than a year before they put the bat Wuhan Chinese virus on us all, or, it accidentally slipped out of a lab, because now I can say that. The reason why we can't get this damn show off the ground is because in law school, I wasn't afraid to say it how it was. And I was the first to say it and wouldn't hold back from calling it the Chinese virus, a virus from a lab. And now, it's just move on from that, you silly goose. Yeah, it's true, but move on. I mean, how many bad acts, like the government employed the highest paid government employee of all time was the guy that killed the most people with AIDS and lied to us for 3 years during the pandemic. That's the highest, Dr. Fauci. That's the highest government paid worker ever.
Federal government.
Well, that is it. That is it. Like, even a private company they're getting like, okay, if we were to contract with a private company and their CEO is making more than Dr. Fauci, that's based on profits they're making elsewhere. Money from American dollars, highest paid person, period, is Dr. Fauci. And he's a crook in and of themselves. So to me, it's like, one, the entity is corrupted. I shouldn't have to defend it anymore. Here's the thing. This is unfair for your and I's dialogue right now, but for the sake of what's right, because that's what the audience member should just want. Like, how do I leave this the most in the know? Okay. The way to do that is to go, okay, for our conversation's sakes, if these two events alone are real, if either of them are real, then yes, being named one of the world's most prospective leaders in the behalf of this organization should be a trump card. You're out. You're out. I don't trust that. You shouldn't trust that organization. They're throwing chemicals in your air and lied to you for 2 decades, and they planned this damn thing. Either world. I cannot say causation. The fact that you did Event 201 doesn't mean you brought upon the world pandemic. But that irony alone, the coinky deek, yeah, that is enough for me to go, I don't need to associate with you. I don't trust you. I'm glad you were doing planning for the world a year before the worst thing ever happened to us. And then that planning predicted jack shit. We sat there in 2020 like we didn't know preparation. We didn't know what to do. This was the craziest thing ever. What do you mean? You held an event with some of the most expensive people in the world a year ahead of time. You still didn't know what the hell to do? Something tells me you knew exactly what to do.
Well, I guess on the Event 201, so let me just kind of take the context clues of what you're saying without knowing the full details. Let me defend a little bit what this would be. Is that the only time any government world leadership have ever came together and kind of did a faux, well, if this extreme event happens, here's what we would do, and have experts talk about it? Is that the only time that's ever happened? Or
I would be of the belief that this is not the first time the Pentagon has made that consideration. It is not the first time China has made that consideration. I imagine it is not the first time England has made that consideration. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I would believe it's the first time all of them did it together, because it's the only time I've ever seen this documented ever. Like, I've never seen this exist before, where the World Agency for Economy in the global arena is calling apart 15 global leaders, Bill Gates, our big daddy, being one of them, to come meet here. Like, tell me this. Can you find a time where China has conferred with Bill Gates on a damn diddly thing about public policy, let alone, I don't know, a global pandemic that he'll profit quadrillions on a vaccine for? You got one for me?
Well, you think the United Nations don't get together and have little breakout sessions on that?
Don't forget, he's number 2 funding them too.
So the acts that
that's the World Health Organization, not
a little bit different. Also, they're probably also going together and doing some pandemic training or putting together scenarios of what would happen.
And yet none of them were ready. How convenient. How convenient.
Well,
They just crashed and burned the whole damn thing.
Let's take a look at that rabbit hole and maybe decide to jump in there a little bit. So let's instead of getting on a World Economic Forum tangent, let's keep going some of these other places. So let's say I think we probably share a couple things here with Vivek Ramaswamy. Looks a little shady. Just kind of got that used car salesman look to him. Let's contrast that to like Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders doesn't look slow.
Grandpa, right?
Just kind of looks like a guy, and you believe that. That's part of this, ethos. Kind of looks like a guy. Even I would say Trump, to an example, to a bit of a level. He's not conventionally attractive. He's tall. Yeah, he's got his hair slicked back, but it's not a great hairline. He kind of just he looks okay. He's fine. He's whatever, but he's not. He's not some Italian supermodel who just looks the part. Vivek Ramaswamy looks the part, and he kind of talks the part too. He's a smooth talker. He's very well spoken. He can very much kind of talk and relate to you. And in the realm of politics, I think there's a little bit. I think that hurts you in a way more than helps you. It's like let's take the rhetoric of Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. So Bernie Sanders, a bit more just I wouldn't call him. He's well spoken, but he's not exactly he's not eloquent. He kind of puts his ideas out there. He talks with passion. He speaks with, he speaks with authority, but isn't he's not trying to sell you something. He's speaking how he feels, and he's going about doing that. I think Trump does a lot of the same thing too. He speaks with a ton of authority. Maybe some would say too much authority, but he also has that passion. He's trying to sell you a little bit, but it's almost just bombastic. It's just so over the top. It's like, well, okay. He's just over exaggerating everything. So that's what it is. Vivek's kind of right in that middle where it's that convergence of just, it's too good to be true. It's way too good to be true. And then, hey, he's going on all these different shows. He seemed to just came out of nowhere and really kind of caught a wave that most people from his funding level don't. So I think you and I both have the same ideas in which, yep, that seems like a red flag. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Sure.
So I think where you and I differ is I don't think he's actually serious in being president at all.
You think he's looking to be vice president?
I don't think he's looking to get into politics in the slightest.
Really?
See, so what was the first
curveball?
So what was the first thing he did when he found out the results of the election?
Of this election?
Of this
caucus.
Of the caucus, yeah, the Iowa caucus.
He made a big grandstand giving it to Trump, right?
Yep. He just bowed out and said, here we go.
Hey, let's play that video real quick. Keep your thought, because I love where you're going with this.
He didn't, so let me expand on this as well. Most people who are even just slightly serious will at least go to about South Carolina. And that's where you start seeing most the serious participants start dropping out. Like Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz is the only one that really pops in my head, but there's probably a couple other ones here that you go, like Ron Paul. He went all the way to the South Carolina caucus.
So as somebody that's more politically involved, how many have they done so far? Is this the first one?
It's only one.
Yes. Okay. So good point.
It's only one, and he didn't even go to New Hampshire. Didn't even go third round. Because what we saw with Biden got his ass kicked in Iowa, New Hampshire, and I think there's a couple other ones. And it wasn't until South Carolina where he got the endorsement from the governor and got a lot of respect from that way. He won that, and all of a sudden everyone just bowed out immediately. So the sudden bow out, and not just that, damn it, I don't have the votes. I'm gonna give it up for time and money, tells me this is a book deal, because there just so happened to be a book that came out with him, and he's doing this for media attention. He's taking it. He's riding this wave with a little, maybe I think there might have been some help on one hand. I don't disagree with you that on that part. And then now he's gonna take and go somewhere else with it. I don't think politics is really going to be his end goal outside of maybe commentating. There's all sorts of different things he might do with it. But being president and actually doing anything with policy-wise, because he never talked policy, never spoke. He just talked about the issues with people, and then said, well, hey, there's a nice little middle ground here. There's a couple things we can do here or there, but never went kind of deep into policy. If we said Bernie Sanders, when he was going through it, he had policy. He was ready to go. He was going to tell you everything he was going to do. Even, I think even Biden to an extent had policy recommendations. He was ready to go. Trump, probably about the only example I think we can think of that didn't have a whole lot of policy ramifications. He's like, well, let's do this with China. Let's just basically make fun of a bunch of people and do a stand-up comedy for a debate, and it worked. It was great. Everyone loved it. And this is where he's unserious about the whole thing. If you want a couple more rounds, all right, now I think we can get a little more in the weeds if this is a good guy or not. But just didn't, he got in, got his fame, went out before he was embarrassed.
Okay. First, let's see him bow out real quick, and then I'll chime in.
This moment, we are going to suspend this presidential campaign. And this is going to have to be, there is no path for me to be the next president absent things that we don't want to see happen in this country. And I think that I am very worried for our country. I think we are skating on thin ice as a nation. We have done everything in our part to make, and done, every one of us in this room has done our part to save this country. And I am so proud of every one of you who have lifted us up. But we're a campaign founded on the truth. And so that's why we've made that decision today. And I'm also making the decision that this has to be an America First candidate in that White House. As I've said since the beginning, there are 2 America First candidates in this race. And earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulate him on his victory. And now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country.
So I like this, the way you propose that, because I think Occam's razor, yours is the most logical, right? What seems the most, it's the most logical, safest bet that, don't overcomplicate this. Don't create conspiracies where there aren't any. Truthfully, only time will tell, because in the fashion at which he bowed out, which truthfully, what they can't afford is for Vivek to continue to get sound bites like on those stages as he travels to other states. They can't afford for him to really Nikki Haley, like, let's say that's the prime enemy of Donald Trump right now in his race, then they can't afford for Vivek to also get the sound bites bringing down Nikki Haley. He needs to be the one bringing down Nikki Haley. So I think there's a political advantage to getting this as soon as possible, because the longer he's in this race, the more he's going to get momentum. The more states he goes to, like, again, if he's going to continue to go to Iowa and continue to get a giant chunk of the support, then he's going to continue to snowball and be a problem for Donald Trump. As I'm driving here, thinking about it, as somebody that voted for Trump and wants to never vote for that man again, ever. Because at this point, being best friends with Epstein, spending all of that time, like, you left your supporters out to dry. All you had to do one time is go, yeah, I'm not racist. Instead, you walked that line as close as you could. It's almost like you're the perfect psyop. You say exactly what a logical man would go, yes, but then do everything to be an ass. So the people that aren't politically deep, that don't understand the politics, how this actually applies to the world, they're going to hate you, because they hate your Twitter, and they're going to hate all the people that also support you. But then there's the people that like you don't like a thing about you. They just like your policies. And so that's a perfectly calculated psyop in my mind at this point, because I can't lend to believe you actually care about us. You would have done a lot of this a long time ago. You let people through a whole pandemic believe, just the way, we were hanging on every one of those White House press, moments. And you'd make a W with your or a Q with your hands to throw off QAnon people. You were doing that because, one, you wanted to keep stringing these people along, but then also do nothing to right the situation. Like, you're not helping them out by creating a delusion that thinks that there's Hillary Clinton and Helen DeGeneres are drinking blood. But then also you did nothing to correct this. That those people that believed you and were willing to put their head on the line, you just threw them away like they're pawns. They're just numbers. And then you're going to come crawling back expecting them to do it again. To me, what I can't wrap my head around is how, what happened to Tulsi Gabbard? Like, where did she go wrong? She was the most ideal candidate for the Democrats. She destroyed all of the crooks and cronies that the system put up there. So that made her an enemy of the Democrats. So she left that party and became a Republican. But she's not a good old boy that gets in line and plays ball. So they don't like her either. Even though every single one of her policies is so moderate that it's considered conservative anymore. Why? Where is she in all this dialogue? I say all of that because, again, I'm driving here, and the reality is if Donald Trump walked on that stage, I said, what did I start this off with? I would never want to vote for that man again. If he walked out on that stage with his running mate, Vivek or Tucker, he's pretty much won. He's pretty much won. So to me, who knows who he's walking out with? I can't imagine it's another crony for the system like Mike Pence. But I loved Mike Pence at the time. Don't get that twisted. But let's agree. Him having a crony of the system might also prove my point that he's probably a psyop, controlled opposition. He's a finger to the same hand as Pelosi, Hillary, and the rest of them. So I know, long-winded.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at is, to me, just as much as it does feel like, yeah, perfect Occam's razor, you definitely set yourself up perfectly for a book deal, brand deals, marketing, business down the line, 100%. You've made a name for yourself. But he's way too well spoken, and truthfully, he is speaking from the heart. Whether it's a corrupted heart or not, that's the old dialogue. But he does speak from his heart, which means he's a perfect politician. Yeah. He'd be stupid. It's outside of the realm of possibility that he throws us away. So to me, for you to throw it away at your heights where they were, it seems there's no other explanation. Trump, how did he phrase it? Me and MAGA man. There's nobody here more that wants to put America first than two people. And I'm stepping out. So he's the one. Okay, well, it ain't cheap. It ain't for free. I'm not talking dollar bills. It ain't for free making a political move like that. So what is he getting? Is he getting the treasurer seat? Is he getting like who's the gay dude from California? Is he getting the transportation? Bugecki, what's his name? Bugaki? Buttigieg, yeah. Pete Buttigieg. Yeah. Is he going to become the Department of Transportation? We're getting you and your BS Department of Transportation, but who's to say he's going to get an appointment somewhere? To me, it seemed transactional. I could see the transaction being, hey, I just wanted to make a big name for myself and I'm stepping out. But it also, the way it played out, like, he didn't even just do it. It's kind of like, what do people dislike? The person that gives $5 to a homeless person, but has to record it and make a TikTok. They always say, why couldn't you have just given them $5 and not gotten the notoriety for it? That's the immoral side of it. Okay, then why'd you have to step out and make this huge grandstand for, how we all need to now support Trump? To me, it seemed calculated, like a political move.
Yeah, in fairness, he's always been supportive of Trump. You could almost I could probably make the eloquent argument that he was a psyop for Trump, that he was by whoever wanted Trump, really wanted Trump in there. Hey, I'm going to support you, going to put you on these legs. Because he's got, let me make World Economic Forum. Let me make a 30-minute or 30-second case for this. So Trump
make a 30-minute case like I do.
Trump has a lot of TV contacts. He was a celebrity, for better or for worse, actor, all sorts of these different things in Hollywood. So he's got connections. Like, hey, let me get my people in touch with your people. We'll get you on a couple shows here. You're going to be a household name. Just say a bunch of nice things about me. I'll just kind of get pissed for no reason and just say a bunch of garbage about you, but keep defending me. I could, you could convince me that's part of it. But I just think, again, he just saw an opportunity to make a name for himself, get some book deals, and do whatever he's going to do, not necessarily post politics, but not as a political career. Because most of these people that are like in it are like, let's go DeSantis. He's been governor. He's running for, I think he was a representative at one point. He's been through the political crucible, and now he's come out here. And still, this whole thing, I'm still a little irritated that DeSantis has negative charisma. Is pretty much what it is.
Yeah, how crazy is that? He sucks charisma out of the room.
He does. And that's the unfortunate part, is what probably makes a good governing person isn't the same person that is good on the campaign trail. You know, just like the very classic, JFK versus Nixon. On radio, Nixon sounded great. On television, JFK, looked great, wonderful. Nixon's sweating and all that. You get some of those parallels where, Ron DeSantis got the boots, just feels insecure about the whole campaign trail, especially when he's got to go all these different states. Of Florida, it's probably a more controlled environment, or at least not a notarized.
Yeah.
But, as far as the governing and the people who voted for him, very much like his policies. You see him going after, very few governors of Florida will go after Disney and the parks because they know where their bread's buttered.
Bring in billions of dollars to that state.
They do, and to go after that. Okay, that's some cojones here. He's not backing down. Now he did eventually back down because that was a dumb fight to begin with, but he tried. He threw himself out there. So that's kind of where that's probably where I'm gonna lay it here too. Is Trump just ran away with this whole thing, and it's not necessarily a surprise.
It's so sad.
What I'm surprised about, Nikki Haley was about 2 percentage points less than DeSantis was.
See, can I tell you something?
Okay.
Something that and Doug, chime in here because you've kind of indicated you might not dislike her either. But to me, maybe this is because I've allowed politics to get this shallow. But I have a difficult time supporting someone who changed their name to dupe American people, right? To play into that was one of the things that Vivek called her out on, is that you changed your name so you could sound more like white or American.
Oh, absolutely.
To me, that's such a foundational piece, such a foundational disingenuine piece to her.
Yep.
That if you can't even have a real name, or you don't, and don't you dare camel lady this shit and turn into Camel Toe Harris. That's what what's her face? Sam Tripoli kept calling her that. It was amazing. But don't you dare. I for the podcast for the last 3.5 years, all I've called her is Camel Lady. Why? Never once have I called her anything else. Because when she won, played this victim card of nobody says my name right. It's Camel Lady, not Camo Lady. And I go, you know what? Because of my skin tone, not a single soul has ever felt bad for me or stood up for me when nobody can say my last name. Nobody here. Nobody can say
joke. Anytime we go somewhere and they pronounce your name, they always forget a letter or don't announce a letter. And it's just if you read it as it's spelled out, it's really not that hard for you.
Exactly. And so boom, for you, that's me. No matter how hard it is, no matter how painstaking it is, no matter how much people butcher it, that is my name. That's who I am. The second I change it to Alexander Gregg, well, that way it's easier to write on a to me, your identity, who you are, if that doesn't even have any I don't know, binding to you, then you'll sacrifice anything to get to the top. I don't know. To me, it seems disingenuous.
But what about Barack Obama? Don't you think changing his middle name would have helped him? Because that was where all Barack Hussein Obama.
Wait, what was it originally?
It was his middle name. He didn't change it. He kept it.
He just never said it.
Okay,
but guess what? Nikki changed her
name. It would have helped him.
Yeah, especially coming after
that whole "let's see your birth certificate."
No,
because your middle name ain't American. That's what people.
But did it not play into his favor that that's who he was?
Well,
so for every
victim card, I'm American.
How about this? Any person, I don't know what her name was because all I saw was the clip of Vivek just hanging her out to dry. My name's Vivek Ramaswamy, and nobody can say it right.
Brian,
and I'm who I am. But What is funny? What is her name? That's what I really want to know. Because what I'm curious about is if it's Nakaluka Kukaluka, then guess what? If your name is Nakaluka Kukaluka and people start making fun of you for the name, then you get to play that exact victim card you were bringing up, Doug. Is that like, oh, they're making fun of me for being Nakaluka Hukaluka, but now you're playing the victim card that, oh, I changed my name to Nikki because nobody likes it when I'm Nakaluka.
So
Nobody said that.
Nikki is actually one of her middle names, so she really didn't necessarily change it. Her full name is like Nimarata Nikki Rendhawa Haley.
And just so
I
you know,
butchered it, I'm sure.
Of those names, one of them was an inserted post-birth later name for politics. The middle name. Huh?
What's her last name?
Haley.
Haley.
So Normandy, Nimrod, Nemorando, whatever the heck it is. Like, again, the second people are being cruel to you, like, what a politician needs to do is not be concerning themselves with their name and totally be concerning themselves with the policies. And then if you can bolster yourself, my name is Hukaluka Luka Saddam Hussein. Like, oh my God, he's named after a terrorist that attacked us. Well, guess what? Kukaluka Kukamaluka Saddam Hussein should come out on the stage and go, do not judge me for the name Hukaluka Saddam Hussein. Judge me for the fact that I want to have the highest grossing academic system in the world. Then I don't even give a shit. You want to call yourself the what's the purple monster from McDonald's? You want to be the Gritty or whatever the hell your name is? Yeah. You want to call yourself Grimace? I'll call you whatever you want to be. The reality is we shouldn't be judging them on their name, but no, again, that's back to the
name though. She was at least when I search it, that is like her actual born middle name.
No, it's not. It's her listed middle name on the internet.
That's what it says on the internet, but I know plenty of people who go by their middle names. Like I know a guy who's Christopher Ryan. He goes by Ryan. He just prefers it. Like, so yeah, I agree though. There's always politics. There's that angle to anything a politic does. And so that's why like I can't not agree with you. But at the same time, I know plenty of people that go by different names. Your name's Alexander. You go by Alex.
Doug? I didn't get to choose mine. And I don't go by Alex. The judge, my boss, calls me that. You've known me my whole life, Doug. When in my life have I ever gone, that's not my name. That's not my name. And every time she goes, do you like me calling you that? I go, my name's Alexander. I introduce myself as Alexander. And whatever you call me is what it is. No, it isn't.
I've called you Gurgat since the day I met you.
And that's still who I am, Doug. Also, again, you're saying my name.
Is it her name? It's part of her name.
And the second I start asking you to call me Grimace, we're not in the same conversation.
I will gladly call you that if you would like.
No, again, you brought up Christian Ryan and he goes by Ryan. It's probably because his dad is Christian. And so we need a way of distinguishing it. Stop, hold their breath. Okay, you're muted. That being said, the same point goes as even if it was, I prefer this. You don't get to pick your name. That goes back to the whole position why Vivek got to string her out on the stage for that to begin with. I didn't get to choose my name. This is my culture. This is the identity my parents chose for me. This is who I am. And you're trying to hide that. Why? To either one, truthfully cater to white voters, which is stupid and disingenuous, or two, pretend you're a victim and pretend you're pandering to white voters, because part of the victim card is social currency today.
And as a Republican trying to cater to white voters, that's a fast and loose strategy. So your standard, let's take your standard or your stereotypical Trump voter, stereotypical Republican voter, your Fox News dad. If you have an R next to your name, it doesn't matter what your name is. You're probably not going to vote Democrat. That's just kind of the reality of the situation here. That's why I'm also so surprised why anyone ever really goes too far down the religious rabbit hole as far as trying to be over Christian, trying to be out religious someone. Say, hey, sometimes they're religious, sometimes they go to church. Yep, God, good, God, great.
Someone should tell Joy Reid that it isn't an inheritance of the Christians. It's for everybody. Yeah. Who would have thought?
I'd at least understand being like a Jewish. If you're a
they
Jewish
do own our government.
Oh, did we just cut out? Oh, nope, not yet. All right. So wrapping thoughts here on my end, and I'll go to you. So I'm still under the impression that Vivek Ramaswamy just wasn't serious about the whole thing. He spoke very well. I think he knew he obviously has a talent for public speaking, a talent for presenting, a talent for and I don't want to say politicizing, but definitely being a politician. He's got that talent. There's just kind of an X factor with him that you see that stands up out in the crowd amongst fellow politicians. So he's not serious. And then on the other hand, it's just sucks to see Trump is just far and away. Like it's not even close. You might as well just call the election now. Just call him the GOP front runner and be done with it. I would like to see how Ron DeSantis actually governs as a president, actually gets in that office and see what his policies are and see how he manages things from the White House. We're not going to be able to get into that situation when we see that. And that's kind of really what's the most unfortunate part, at least of the crowd of I guess the 3 options we have as a Republican candidate. I think he'd be the best as president, but he's definitely not the best politician, and definitely not the most vote worthy is the other thing too, because he's just not charismatic.
Yeah,
takes it out of the room. But that's my wrapping thoughts here on this. I think there's also a little bit of a twinge of the World Economic Forum. You might want to let's kind of pull that thread here. A couple of shows.
We're
down the road.
We're gonna. But first, you need to get down that road a little bit more too. That being said, wrapping thought is this. I can agree with you in the spirit of Occam's razor. I do believe that this is probably seen as an opportunity for notoriety and getting your name out there. What I don't necessarily agree with is that it was for the purpose of just notoriety's sake. I don't think it was to expand brand deals, make books. That being said, what I do think it was for was what, Brian?
William Shatner chiming in. I think Elizabeth Warren should change her name to include her Native American ancestry.
It would be a bold move. She just called
Elizabeth
herself Pocahontas.
Hookah.
No, it's Pocahontas.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so I think it was less for notoriety, and I think it was the Ron DeSantis 2020 plan, which was get notoriety now for the presidential election next time. So I think that's how all politics work. Bernie, step aside. You won the Democratic seat for the 2016 election, but we're stealing it from you and giving it to Hillary. In exchange, we're going to keep you comfortably numb in Congress. And he gave in. He sold all of you out, myself included. And that's how these things work. Yep. You don't step aside and put on a display and a show for people for it to just be for a book. So whether it's for his next election, like, hey, step out. This is how I see it looking. Okay. Step out now, and we will pay for. We're going to help. You'll have the Trump endorsement behind you as 2-time president. You'll have all of the money. So put your eggs in this basket because we will fuel your next election if you aren't an adversary against us at this stage. I also do think at the same time, I don't know. I could also see that he saw the writing on the wall and let's get out now while we're high, like, sell while you're high.
Yeah, fair.
But in regards to the question of whether or not Vivek is a wolf in sheep's clothing, as long as all I do is see a sheep, I cannot claim a wolf, right? Because that's the boy who cried wolf. Am I thinking? I mean, I'm looking at the ground and I think I see wolf tracks. And I think I smell a wolf. But what I can definitely concede is I do not see a wolf. I'm curious, one eye looking, but I don't see a wolf. And in lieu of that, what I must admit is everything he says resonates with me. Everything is like, that couldn't have been said better. If I were to close if we were to rewind the clock, because he didn't exist to blue-haired people or anybody else a year or two ago.
Nope.
If I were to rewind the clock to 2020, close your eyes, or hell, I mean, you're racist because you're Democrat. Maybe I just show you that he isn't white. So I don't even need to blindfold you. But if I were to play this video for you, you'd go, oh my God, that's the greatest Democrat ever. Because he's truly liberal. He's truly liberal. Conservatives would support him because that's really what conservatives have become. We're the real liberals. And if you weren't blinded by Democrat politics, you'd agree with everything he said too, that he's liberal. Let freedom for everybody. Let's maximize the John Locke, maximize happiness for the most number of people. Everybody would resonate with that. So what I have to admit is everything he says resonates with me and should resonate with anybody with an open heart. And so as long as he keeps pushing that, I'm going to be a supporter for, broadcasting. I hope he broadcasts that message at as loud of a rate and as much of a rate as he possibly can. And I'm a supporter until I see that wolf. Brian, wrapping thoughts. What do you got for us?
Didn't know about the event 201. That was very enlightening. I would like to have a segment where we update on the blue light of the Maui. Because I have not heard a thing about that in the past couple months, and where they destroyed that whole island of Hawaii.
Yeah, Doug, don't ask confused. The laser beams from the sky in the islands.
But I mean, all those people were
no, dude, it was just
separated.
A fire. It was just a crazy little fire.
Yeah, they were.
It was a crazy fire.
It was a crazy fire.
It was a very crazy fire.
Crazy fire.
Yeah, before we get canceled. I'm not sure what happened to Tulsi. I would like to know. Why.
Still a fan. She's still my prez.
Yeah, I still watch her story and stuff on Instagram.
Did Tulsi live in Malibu?
I think it was Maui.
Is it Maui?
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
And sounds like an island.
Trying to put some threads together here. Don't mind me.
Another stepped away.
Another person we're not really talking about is Kanye and his girlfriend with Bianca's. All right, I'm just gonna
wait.
No, I'm just not even gonna say anything.
Wait,
right.
No, say it. I'm now what? Where does Kanye get into this?
Well, because he was running for president.
Yeah, when are we voting for him again?
I don't think he's bowed out quite yet. Yeah.
Dude, what are we talking about? The last 2 shows I've had a Kanye West 2024 sweatshirt on.
Right.
Yeah, man, you kind of forgot about him, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know what it had to do with this. I'm a big supporter. And he's not, he's got pictures with Donald Trump. They're pals. And he's not even bowing out like Vivek.
He wouldn't wear the
That's true.
MAGA hat. Wonder how many votes he didn't get. He's got to have a couple.
Oh my God. It was a solid amount. Oh my God.
Do you think 100 for the Iowa caucus? 100 people went, you know what? I want Kanye West on here. In fact, I might just vote for him in the Ohio primary.
Actual election.
Kanye West.
Don't you have to be registered?
I don't think he's registered. That's I think he missed all his paperwork.
No, but it's not for the caucuses. That's what it sucks is you can't do a write-in for the caucuses because the corporations, aka the 2 parties, do not want to they like controlling the entry.
That is true.
They are the gatekeepers.
That is true.
So we can't allow you. Whoa. Representative people are writing in their own representatives. We cannot afford to lose our chokehold on that monopoly. Thanks for watching this clip from the Rethink Tank Live. Join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. streaming across the platforms on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We do our best to promote user engagement, and we want you involved. So be sure to bring your perspective live so we can get you in the dialogue. See you then.